Hello viewers, welcome again to our family show, The Living Room. In the studio with me today, very special people. Auntie, you are special.
Thank you.
So we have Professor Teresa Madu, who has always been here.
Yeah.
And then we have somebody who has a name that I have never heard outside my Bible. So you have to know his name and never forget it.
That's right.
He's Dr. Ruel Dakong.
Thank you.
Ruel Dakong. I hope you know what the Ruel is.
Thank you very much
That's-
for having
yeah.
me. That's a friend of God.
Yeah. Oh, is that what it means?
That's what it means.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And in the Bible, the Ruel, his other name is Jethro, so that we are all Bible students. Moses' father-in-law. So that we
It's my
know-
pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. I think we'll go religious entrepreneurship today as well.
Okay, that's good.
Ruel.
Yes.
Ruel.
Yeah, good to have you here.
Thank you so much.
So last week we talked about letting our children go and making sure we get them ready to leave the home. And one of the issues that arose from last week's discussion was the fact that some young people were afraid to leave home because some of them didn't have anything they were doing. And so a few people called in asking what they could do, you know, the kind of things they could do for themselves to make money and be able to leave home. So following as a follow-up to that, we decided to have Ruel here, who is an expert on the issue of entrepreneurship, because he's one of the organs at the Entrepreneurial Center at the University of Jos. So he has a lot. He's talked to students, so he has a lot to tell us today.
Let
So
me
we
just
talk-
add, Amaka,
Okay.
it's not that he's just the orgas. Ruel himself has been an entrepreneur ever
Okay.
since I met him.
Okay, so he also give us
The practical aspect of
practical
it.
aspects, just as Professor Madu will also give us practical aspects. They are all entrepreneurs. I'm the one who is not doing the thing. I don't know whether the Igbo gene in me is real or it's fake. I don't know. It's not working.
We'll
But
stimulate
maybe
you
after today, I'll get something from them.
Absolutely.
So, yes. So, yes, my name is Amaka Ocheke. I didn't introduce myself. Okay. So, Ruel, we'll start with you.
It's all right.
Yes, this entrepreneurial thing we're talking about, what does it mean? Because it's all, people have been saying entrepreneur. What exactly does it mean?
Well, thank you very much. Well, entrepreneurship is a concept, and I will also call it a practice, depending on the angle you are looking at it. When you go out, a lot of people will keep saying, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm into entrepreneurship, even if that person is selling maybe 2 cups of gari, or that's. So, but then of course, generally, we'll just say entrepreneurship is about solving problems in the society, of course, to make profit or to earn your living. Entrepreneurship to me is anchored on some certain pillars that will help our listener out there to appreciate. First, just like I said, you must be able to identify the fact that there is problem out there. And secondly, you must develop the capacity to be able to solve the problem, because it's one thing to know that the problem exists out there and to develop the capacity to solve the problem. And of course, you cannot identify the problem if you don't have the skills to solve the problem. And so that one is also very important. So your ability to identify the problem, to me, is called an opportunity, which is the aspect that we're going to discuss this evening. So let me just say, by and large, entrepreneurship is about solving problem and then earning your living. And people out there will want to say, how do I earn my living? And we say, to make profit over a sustainable period of time. So just leave it there. But in the course of discussion, we will unearth a lot of issues relating to that.
So something has come up from what he said. I just picked up. So just waking up suddenly and hearing that selling Ankara is profitable, but you haven't noticed that there's a need for Ankara in the market, and you start selling, and then you start disturbing us. Patronize me, oh, patronize me. That, I think that's not entrepreneurship.
No,
That's,
no, no.
not-
That's just selling.
It's not just selling.
Because
It's
you
commerce.
haven't identified a problem
You
or
haven't
a need.
identified the problem.
Okay.
And of course, much as you identify the problem, you know, you solve the problem uniquely. Everybody may have the ability to solve the problem, But you have to develop, just like I said, the ability or the capacity to solve your problem differently. And that's what we call value addition in what you are trying to put through your product or the service you want to render to the people out there. Now, when you go out, let's say if you move out of this place, you realize that, I know by the junction there's somebody selling meat.
Yeah.
There's nothing unique about selling that meat. But if you ask the person, why did you establish the business there? Just tell you that I just decided to set this business to get money. But first of all, you must identify the fact that people have needs. And that problem we're talking about is the needs we are talking about in the context of our discussion. So you must gauge the needs of the person. Everybody may have a need. While we came here, our parents here, the lady started saying, your skirt is fine, your gown is fine. Yes, but of course that fitted the person. So it's about the size of the person. What's the size of the needs of the person? You must be able to gauge that, not just throwing anything to the person. In fact, in marketing, they call it hard selling. Previously, such perspective was pushed on encyclopedia and Bible, if you look at the history. So, and that's what Professor Madu is trying to say, is just selling. We've gone beyond that. It's about fitting into the needs of the person. And what you're offering is completely different from what the next person. And that gives you an edge over, your competitors or other persons that are selling or trying to offer the same product out there. Because so this is very, very important. We need to establish that at the onset of this discussion, or else we'll miss it. Because
also in my neighborhood, I think my son was complaining about it the other day. There are so many shops, and you will see 2-3 shops next to each other, or just a short distance from each other, selling the same thing in the same way. And you're like, what's going on here?
So they are not entrepreneurial. Yeah. I think in a little bit, we'll try to make a distinction between what is entrepreneurship and what is small-scale businesses, or what we shall call micro-enterprises. All those people who put things in their cars, move around, they are engaged in micro-enterprises according to size. I would like to add to Ruel's definition and say, apart from saying that there's a need, and apart from saying I'm going to meet with the needs, there are 2 elements that we have not mentioned, the elements of taking a risk. Because to be able to add value, you assume certain kinds of risks. And you know that risk is the other side of opportunity.
Yes.
Opportunity always carries the risk. But when you see people being entrepreneurial, they assume some amount of risk. And the last part, which is alluding to, there's a reward. The reward might be profit, or the reward might be satisfaction, or the reward might be, like he said, because you've solved the problem, society is better. Society is better off because that problem is solved. And do you know, for us in business, that is the real foundation of business. Business meets with the needs of society at a profit. And so I think I've added to that, yes. Ruel's definition of entrepreneurship, which means that it carries 4 elements. Number 1, we see that there's a need. We conceptualize what it will take to meet with that need. He's saying that it should be unique. But to be able to meet that need, you take risks. You take financial risk, you go out of your comfort zone, you enter into the eyes of the consumer, you actually think beyond what they will want, and then there must be reward, whether profit or some other satisfaction. So I just added to that his definition.
I like what Prof said. In fact, I wanted to say that because if you look at the equation of entrepreneurship, for me, if I'm teaching my students, at the center of it, I tell them it's just like the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord of entrepreneurship, I call it the risk aspect, the component of risk, because arising from the discussion you had last week, though I wasn't around, trying to let our younger ones, our children, to go out. It's about risk taking. Jack Ma would say something. If you want to make it big, you must look for big problems. And solving big problems doesn't just appears like that, you must take a calculated it has to be a calculated risk, not just any risk. It's not gambling. And that's what we try to avoid, to push out of our equation as we discuss as entrepreneurs. So it's about taking calculated risks so that you'll be able to solve the problem. You remember, it's a two-way thing. As you solve the problem, once the customer is satisfied or your client is satisfied, you get the reward. You are also expected to be satisfied because you now connect and build a relationship over time. So these issues are also very, very cardinal in the entire, cycle of entrepreneurship.
Okay. Now, I want us to look at these aspects of entrepreneurship one by one before we come down to examples. Now, first of all, you said you have to identify a problem. So how do we identify problems? Because we're talking of things that young people can do or think about doing, because as I was talking with you before we started the program, that there are no white-collar jobs, or there are very few and not enough to go around. So people need to think outside the box. So now, how do you identify that there's a problem? Because maybe I've been going to work, following that route to work and back to my house every day. I'm not sure if I've identified the problem.
No, I like that. I like that. Amaka, don't just assume. Every human being is confronted with a problem. And I remember when I started my career in the university, Professor Madu may forget, but I remember in one of her presentations in the class, she said something: the world is a continuum of problems, and it calls for problem solvers. Everybody in Nigeria is complaining today. Everybody is complaining.
You are not complaining, because when I asked you, said you were fine, there was no problem yet. So you
Yeah,
are,
it means
Ruel
that-
is not complaining.
It means that,
no viewers,
I'm
Ruel is not
still
complaining.
looking for a problem. So maybe I've solved that one. So this is the issue. So good. So the world is a continuum of problems. So
Yes.
there are lots of problems out there, and the problems have dimensions. Problem of poverty, problem of unemployment. There's this problem, psychological problem, where our children were being confronted by the issue of drugs and drugs abuse. We have the issue of insecurity. When you go to the religious gathering, there are problems and issues there. So there are lots of problems at the family level. There are problems at the community levels. There are problems. So we can't just pretend to say there are no problems. So let's appreciate the fact that there are problems. And so anywhere you are, once you see a problem, look at that problem as an opportunity for you. And I'm going to give you a small example. Now, if you move down to Terminus, you see a lot of debris out there. Trash all over the place there. And people keep complaining. You see people closing their nose and say the government has not done anything. But that is an entrepreneurial issue. You can solve that problem entrepreneurially and make a lot of money. In fact, what I've captured in the course of my reading this morning is that if I'm moving and I see scraps all over the places, somebody will say that but these are entrepreneurial problems. Solutions. You can use that and make billions of naira. If you move right down now to Faringada towards Village Hostel, you realize that somebody has packed a lot of scraps there. If you ask that person, he tells you that this one is worth 2-3 million naira. But our children are sitting down at home watching television, using their phones, and tell you there are no problems. And so what you've succeeded in doing as a scavenger, because there are levels, as a scavenger, is that you have cleared the environment. Secondly, you've piled this one and you are making a lot of money. So these are issues. This is an issue that is very, very pertinent. Now, when you realize that people are poor, how do you solve the problem? And we set an example with one of our professors in the field of entrepreneurship, the man that put up the Grameen Bank, Professor Yunus, in Bangladesh. It was a problem of poverty in Bangladesh. This man was in Harvard, and he had an opportunity to stay in Harvard. But he said, no, because of the poverty in my country, I'll go back and solve that problem. And today, this man is celebrated all over the world. I had the opportunity of meeting Yunus when he came to Makerere University, and everybody's celebrating him. But in my community, there are 1,001 women that are subjected to poverty. And I just closed my ears and said, no. In my village, Zohal, in Jipal right now, what we've decided to do is to put these women together because of the issue of poverty and form a cooperative for them. This is what has never happened in life. Right now, if I tell you the amount of money that these women, widows, have contributed a pool as their own funds, and we've succeeded in buying grains for them to keep and for them to sell. In fact, they sold it now and got fertilizer to solve the agricultural problem. So these are issues that are very important. Now, when you move around and you see maybe somebody's vehicle is parked there and is battling with that, what is the solution to this? We know it's about solving problems. So these issues are very important. So we must all appreciate that and just keep quiet. Or when suddenly you realize that somebody is complaining in his house that, oh, I don't have data. Always I don't have data on my phone to browse. What do? We see the young people now by getting data and selling that online. These are channels of solving problems in the society.
The way Ruel is talking, you can see that he's angry. Please, just calm down. Be calming down.
Yeah, these are issues that are very, very pertinent for us to really appreciate as individuals, not just sitting down and say there are no problems in the society.
Okay, so can I break it down in a simpler way? You were kind of a little abstract, Ruel, and don't be angry at us.
No.
I guess because we're not taking advantage of the opportunities. You people are making Ruel angry. Just be calming down. We can.
He wants us to take.
Like usually, I start with my 5 fingers. I say, we have eyes. When you move around, what do you see? Do you know that if you are not just self-absorbed, you will certainly see issues. Like the first person who created the executive toilets, it was just by observing. Every Lagos, there are ceremonies week in, week out. There are not enough toilets. He created the executive toilets. Can you see how by just observing, it led to? How about your ears? What are we hearing? Like he said, he's tired of people complaining about poverty. It may not be that, it may be something else. But are we using our ears to hear the things that go around? Then, we can use our 5 fingers as the 5 senses. All these ways are ways of, sensing that there are opportunities out there. But with outside there, when there are technological dislocations, any technological disruption opens a lot of opportunities up, just like the internet opened a lot of opportunities up. When the cell phone came to Nigeria, it opened up a lot of opportunities.
COVID.
In fact, just to ride on what Ruel is saying, that every time there's a struggle, there are opportunities. I think you people are tired of hearing this, because even last week we talked about the process.
So
we talked about the process.
For
just anything that looks like a struggle.
For Christians, I think you need to pray. Because sometimes you may be passing an opportunity all the time, but it just has never struck you that this is a problem that can be solved. So we need to pray for the Holy Spirit to open our eyes, our ears, our everything to hear, know, and palpate what the problems are. Because you can be walking, you may not. As you said, sometimes you are so self-absorbed that you really don't notice what is going on in your environment.
Yes,
so we need God's help.
To what you said, I appreciate what Prof said. I made a presentation to young people, and I call it the sense organs. God has placed us in an environment, we call it the Garden of Eden. Wherever I am, I call it the Garden of Eden. And He has given us senses to feel, to see, and of course to take advantage of that opportunity. So the issue of the Holy Spirit is there, but I think God has already placed everything on those steps that we are expected to be very sensitive to that. And I always cite an example, even in strategic management, like the chameleon. Now, when the environment changes, what happens? The chameleon changes its color. So that's exactly what they are supposed to do. And since we have the Spirit of God and the wisdom of God in us, we are supposed to be even to think further ahead of the people around us, because God has given us the capacity and of course the ability to do that. So these issues are very important. Let me just cite an example. Maybe it's going to help us. I stay in Haskia Quarters. Professor Madu knows the house. When I moved from Holshe to that Haskia Quarters, what I realized was that in the whole of that place there was nobody selling meat. And it's a very big settlement. So people were moving all the way to the town to buy meat. And I told myself, what if we establish a meat shop just by the gate there? So I thought of that. I wasn't an expert in that area. So I had to call a friend who is an expert in that area. So you can see the collaboration now, the networking. Because even in Christianity, what helps us is our corporate community and the resourcing, the pooling of resources together. It will interest you to know that as it is today, we're doing very well, and people have have been celebrating us. They've been praying for us and appreciating what we have done.
And you have been expanding.
And we've been expanding to the glory of God. Initially, we just started with just 2, 3 or so kilos. But today, we can slaughter more than 2 or so cows in a day, like on weekends. So it has solved the community problems there. And what happens again, we've been able to employ about 3 people, and of which we're growing. Prof, that of Redfield has not started yet, because I'm still conceptualizing to make it better and more unique than what we have there.
So once again, can you see that he has to enter into the eyes of the customers in Redfield to see what their own need is, different from what the Haskell Quarters is.
And then
but that's good.
Once we establish that, remember, just like we said, anybody that goes there will always say that this place is unique in terms of, you know, the outlets, the hygiene, the way my people dressed, you know, the way they also treat the customers. And I've told them right from the word go, the first thing is for us to be able to solve the problems of these people. Let's leave the issue of profit. No, let's get these people and give them the best. In terms of, we know the caliber of people we're selling the meat to. So in terms of the quality of the meat, we don't compromise that, and it's very, very important. That now keys into an issue that I think we need to buttress on, that if you are going into business, remember, it's about solving somebody's problem, not to injure the person. And there's an ethical aspect of business. And of course, your conscience will tell you that if you're going into this, you're supposed to solve the problem, and people celebrate that. So we take that one head on, and it has really helped us. This is almost 4 years now, and we've never had any problem. We've never had any drop on that. Sometimes, yes, you sell it at break even, but the enjoyment or the satisfaction is that people are really coming. And in fact, sometimes you get people all the way from Redfield. Professor Madu is one of my customers, and we appreciate that. So it's very important. Young people out there. So let's appreciate every opportunity that we have in our society. Please don't forget, just like Professor Madu had said, in fact, initially I wanted to say, use your sense organs that God has blessed you with, and then, of course, explore these opportunities. And I know God is going to open, you know, your eyes, going to speak to you, and then you take advantage of the opportunities out there.
So I like what you said about, are we also listening to the Spirit? You know, sometimes the ideas come to people, and then they don't write it down. So they don't follow through, you know, or you hear people say, oh, it's just my mind. The Spirit of God is already in you. So if the idea comes to your mind, it's not just your mind. It's God helping you to say, have you thought more and more about that? But, you know, we're not writing people. So the ideas come, we don't write it down, and then, then after a while we forget.
Like me, I always carry a jotter in my bag.
Yeah.
If ideas come, I just write. Well, maybe not entrepreneurial ideas, but academic ideas,
but
anything.
Such ideas can be
we call it journaling.
Yeah,
it
so
can be
you must
everywhere.
always have something to write. But this issue of noticing problem, I'm saying it because I noticed that a lot of young people are very self-absorbed. So they are not aware of their environment. So they are just busy pressing away on their phones, watching movies, and not attentive to the environment.
Yes,
so
like
we need
that.
to encourage them. Pay attention. Pay attention.
I think if there's anything I've learned in life is when, yes, I've been in the academics, but I think now that I'm in the discipleship class, I have my discipler. One thing that I've learned is sitting down to listen. And we've seen the story of Mary and Martha when Christ visited them. Martha was busy, though there are a lot of context there, but Martha was busy, you know, working in the kitchen, but Mary sat at the feet of Jesus. Young people out there, you must sit down. The Bible says, he that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide. If you don't sit down, it will be very difficult for you to understand the opportunities out there. I've been under Prof. Madu's tutelage all this while. I've sat down and I know what I get. Sometimes when I talk to her, I say, Ruel, what is it that you've learned? What is it that you've learned? But I know what I've learned from her. Now, and there was, you remember when this, you know, I told you, I came through Redfield. When this issue of the British-American construction started, those of us that were applying from Haskell Quarters to that axis to the university, in fact, when that road was closed, you could see the traffic. A lot of people were stranded. And I went to class to tell my students that, what if I now say, oh, now that a lot of people are stranded and I have Keke Nape, why can't I use that road now? By my calculation, you could ply that road in the morning before 10 o'clock almost 6 or 7 times. Picking students from Angwarukuba to the university, coming back about 10 or so times. Calculate that maybe times 5 and then times maybe 200. See what you realize at the end of the day. So these are issues that are very important. Sometimes, just like Prof said, when there are disruptions, and I remember in one of your your notes that you wrote, and I took it for my PhD program, once there is disruption, that should be an opportunity for us. Let us not complain. I had the privilege of meeting a young guy called John Obidi. He's a popular guy, a social media guy in Nigeria. He's presently in Dubai. I met him in Lagos when I went for this entrepreneurship training. The guy was flown back to Nigeria for a group of professors and doctors that were there. And he told us that the very time he made his billions of naira was during COVID. But then a lot of us were complaining that, oh, the society, COVID has kept everybody in his room while a lot of people were making money. And then, of course, some that took advantage of the COVID, what happened? They were able to make hand sanitizers. We could see a lot of, face masks, And then the ladies, I like what they were doing. If you go to SOAR, they will now use the aspect to package you. Yeah. So these are issues that are very, very pertinent, and it has even helped. In 2004, when I finished my NYSC, I served in Cross River State. So I knew the environment. I was in Gindri, Mission Compound. So all through my stay in Mission Compound, there was no barbing salon, and there are schools there. So I thought to myself, what if we establish a barbing salon in Mission Compound? Because students were restricted from going out of bounds. So when I came back from service, I now met the principals of the school. I told them that, all right, to stop our students from going out of bounds, let's establish this barbing salon. Let me tell you, as it is today, since 2004, the barbing salon is even earning me more money than what I'm earning here. Because as it is now, my younger brother is managing the barbing salon. If I was there, he has just expanded the place on Saturday. And we're using POS machine. And you know what we succeeded in doing? To now connect with the schools that all their school fees are paid through our POS machine. Wow. And you know what that means? It's very simple and easy.
Small 50
so
naira,
50 naira. And we've decided to package it. Our this is unique. So that is very, very important. Now, somebody will say that as a lecturer, you're looking for money. No, it's not about that. It's not about looking for money, but it's about solving the problem. Because the calculation is that there's no bank in Gindri. And we're calculating the risks of moving with money, and your money to Mangu. You start the risks of, being robbed. So we have solved their own immediate problems there in the community. And of course, they're appreciating that. So these issues are very important. And young people out there, Christian young people, we must take advantage of such opportunities.
So you weren't here last week, but remember, can you see how by establishing that the business becomes accessible, affordable, and available?
Yeah.
But before they stop us, can we talk about the debris?
We have to go on break. So when we go on break, we'll come back and continue.
Okay.
And then I was told to let people know that some people don't know where Angwarukuba is and your route. That's what they are saying. But just summary of it is that a popular route in Jos has been closed because of road construction. So we now have alternate routes to follow. So that's it basically. So we are going on break now. The discussion has been hot, so you can't afford to miss anything. So when we come back, viewers, our number will be on the screen so that you can call and contribute to the discussion. But please make sure you allow Ruel say all the things he has to say so that we will not miss out on anything. So we're going on break, and then when we come back, we'll continue talking about all these entrepreneurial opportunities.
Equa TV Africa keeps you lifted 24/7. Fixes your day and makes it fulfilled with messages of hope and salvation.
Sin and the devil, they always work hand in hand together.
Christ too, and the ministry of the Lord also will be promoted. This aspect of David's experience we read in our passage of consideration brings this situation very near to ours.
He is majestic in holiness. Praise the Lord.
Groundbreaking shows for every life situation.
Parents don't tell lies because that's always a problem.
But in the north, we have abandoned education.
If you ask me to do anything for Nigeria, please equip me.
It feels great being on Never Ending platform.
Heaven gifted songs to lift your spirit up, pull you out of worry, fear, sadness, and even depression. Keep watching Equa TV Africa. Follow us on all our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the notification button to keep up with our activities.
Okay, viewers, welcome back to the living room right here on Equa TV. My name is Amaka Ocheke, and I've been here with Dr. Rual Dakung and Professor Teresa Madu talking about entrepreneurial opportunities, and we've talked about so many things. We'll continue the conversation, but our number is on the screen right now, so you could call in to make your contributions to the discussion, and you can also post your comments on our Facebook page. Johanna and Moa Captain, we've also seen your messages from Lekki, Lagos, and from Gombe. So please feel free to make your contributions, ask your questions. We'll try as much as possible to answer. So back to you.
All right, we're just trying to look at another aspect of solving the societal problem. We're looking at the environmental degradation. In what areas are the environment degraded? That's also, I started by talking about, the issue of scraps. Once you see the environment being littered on account of the activities of human beings, I know Prof is going to look at the other aspect. You can solve that problem. And I still want to go back to the issue of scraps. I remember when we were growing up, you used to see these people going, packing the scraps. We call them babambola. I always tell the young people there's nothing like babambola of now, today. Because what you are doing now is you are cleaning the environment, you are packing this debris, the scraps, and you are putting them somewhere for recycling. Yeah. Very, very important. And we've seen, and I will be very practical about this thing, I've advised some young people in our church. In fact, the other time I spoke to them, surprisingly enough, one of the pastors in my church told me that he never knew that he was sitting on gold mine. That when I just, gave them made the presentation, something just struck his mind. Yes. So he went about doing that. And as it is now, the man is making fortune out of that. When our reverend moved to his house, do you know what he was doing? Instead of welcoming the reverend, he was busy, they were trying to clear the place. He was busy packing the scraps. He told me that this is money. I said, it's quite pleasing, when you speak to people and they respond to that. So I think our young people out there, we need to catch on on this type of opportunity. Does it require any financial commitment? I don't think no. Just go around and begin to pack all this and you make a lot of money. In fact, I've told my young people that now that the insecurity issues everywhere, you can just hide under that and be doing the bola, business. Nobody looks at you as a millionaire. Even those guys that are selling charcoal. In fact, I interacted with them. One of my students, right now, he exports charcoal to Qatar.
Really?
I'm telling you, I was surprised. Maybe I'll share the pictures to you. He decided to package. He is from Kano, but he came for studies here. So he took advantage of the opportunity out there. He travels to Dubai. Presently, he's in Dubai, to Qatar. And we're not talking of millions. He's making hundreds of millions of naira. Because those people in that market, they respect this type of charcoal that we have, particularly in Nigeria. So we must be able to explore, just like we've said, your ears must be open, your eyes must be open. Somebody will say you have to be alert to the opportunity. You need to be sensitive to the opportunity out there. And sometimes you may not necessarily be alert to the opportunity if you're alone. As we interact, you discover the opportunities will come. As you discuss with your friends, I think something should spark you. When you talk about, online issues, when you talk about, school being closed down, when you talk about the issue of maybe the government closing one part of the road, or when you talk of the fact that, the roads are bad, something should strike your mind that you have to be a problem solver to them. That's very important. So this issue is very important. Maybe Prof will look at the other aspect of environmental degradation.
But like this issue you raised about problems, I think problem solving, I think that kind of mindset is what every Christian should have. A mindset to always solve problems. Because the person that we serve and follow is the master problem solver. He came to solve the problem of sin. And bondage to the devil by the death of Christ on the cross. So we should also be part of it. Aside from solving spiritual problems, we should also solve physical problems. As you said, God has put us in our Garden of Eden, and we must make it what God wants it to be.
And interestingly, the person that came to solve our problem has given us authority to solve the problem as well.
These people have gone gaga. Let me just stay with entrepreneurship.
It's still entrepreneurship.
But apart from just looking at that, the other aspect of entrepreneurship that we think that almost everybody can latch on, even if it's not scientific, is that, like we've been talking on this program, what is your passion? What is it that every day you sleep, you dream, you think about it? That passion, if we add these problem-solving capacities to it, it makes you excel. Apart from the passion, let's look at the things that you are gifted with doing. These young people are incredibly gifted. However, they are interpreting their gifts only to music
and playing football. That's on the plateau. That's it.
So they don't look at the wide opportunities available in between. These young people are incredibly smart. But like Ruel said, can we apply this smartness to a particular problem and think through it from beginning to the end?
I like that.
Okay, this is the problem. What are the possible ways of resolving it? What do I have? Or how can I collaborate with somebody to solve this problem? In other words, if I can't solve it alone. And then we have to think through to the end. What are the rewards? How will I benefit? How will society benefit? And this is basically a summary of how we must approach it. I'm passionate about the environment, like you said. Honest, I didn't know that there was a waterfall by Miango right behind us. And that can be a tourist attraction. But if you look down the waterfall, it is full of debris from Jos. Coke bottles, swan water bottles, all kinds of bottles. And these things are non-degradable. If somebody thinks that that waterfall can become a tourist attraction, or if a set of Miango youths believes that they can take people hiking there and they clean up that thing, can you imagine how much money can be made? They will be solving the environmental problem, but they will be doing tourist attraction. They will be making money. They will be making plateau tourism put on the map more and more and more.
And again, the committee, what happens is that when you have people, your tourists come to that area, what happens? The community now will. So other businesses will spring up.
Like food, water, accommodation.
Prof, let me just debate a bit to buttress on the points you've cited, that our young people are exceptionally talented. I've been working with them, irrespective of your field of profession. I did a small SWOT analysis on the plateau recently to profile the various sectors, just as well. I've never done that before, but I want to see how I would bring the practical component of that to my students. And when I go to the health sector, one of the major problems is the fact that most of the patients come to the hospital and spend donkeys of hours on queue. I felt, what could be the solution to that? So I had to call these young people. In fact, I was just from school because they are trying to develop a software to solve this problem, that there could be a kind of virtual interaction between the doctors, the patients, and the pharmacist, and of course the lab. We're just trying to do that. So the boys, they are already experts in that area. So I thought of that and I called them. Can you see how we're trying to solve this problem now in the society? So we were having some little hitches. So we now called the director of our health service. So he came in today and was giving us that. For the University of Jos, it has been digitized so that within the system. But ours is, maybe we'll say, a kind of a care without borders, so that such problem will be solved. Somebody is critically sick, and before you see a doctor is difficult. So once the app is developed, you now go into the app, and of course you just click and now connect with your own doctor and interact with the person. You see, that solves a problem in the society. And when I was sharing with these young people, in my mind, they say, oh, sir, already we've gone far into that. So can we just come down to the center and develop this software? From the feelings, it's going to be a huge problem-solving, platform for patients and even the hospitals. And at the end of the day, there will be great reward to that. I've learned that little experience when I went for the training to step it down to that. So there are a lot of issues out there, and the young people, please don't feel that, just like my professor will say, that you are a dull person. No, you have the brain. It's your ability to ignite that. And it goes with passion, what you are passionate about. Well, I'll call it, what is that thing that keeps itching you? What's that thing that keeps stimulating you, that doesn't allow you to sleep in life? That is a thing that you're supposed to pursue in life. So these issues are very important for the young people out there. And I think by the time we wake up to our responsibilities, we'll solve these problems, wherever the problems are, and we'll make fortune. And of course, the burden on our parents will be reduced. A lot of parents are complaining today. The burden on the children, the burden from the children, the relations and the rest of them. So we have the capacity to be able to handle that as young people. And I truly believe that when we take such responsibilities, a lot of problems will be solved in the society.
But also parents, encourage them. I think sometimes parents just discountenance any efforts the young people are making simply because we do not even understand it. But if you don't understand it, ask for an education. You may not even know everything about software, but just ask them how does this solve problems? Oh, bottom line, when will the naira start flowing? And then they can give you an idea. And the thing we haven't mentioned about entrepreneurship is that it looks like, okay, every time we take an entrepreneurial opportunity, it succeeds. You fail a lot, but it's the failure you are learning.
Learning process, yes.
We just have to pay the price of learning. So don't be thinking that because we did XYZ, it will result into so profit just because of the glowing stories we have talked about. But entrepreneurship flourishes because we take the risk. If we fail, we learn from the failures so that we do not repeat it again. But look, there will be resilience. There will be hard work. In other words, the resilience means you stay at the thing until you see a result.
It's quite true.
That's what scientists do too. They keep trying until it succeeds. But if we're observant, even the unintended outcomes become results that give us good satisfaction.
Because that's one of the things I wanted to bring up. Young people, that staying power now, it doesn't seem to be there. They don't want to go that process. I think we talked about process
last week.
That going through the process, people just want to entrepreneur
hammer.
Entrepreneur hammer.
So I don't know, Prof, whether we have any concept called hammer in entrepreneurship. You have to go through the process. It's very important because
they just want to be rich.
If you go through the process, just like Prof said, you learn a lot from the process. And if you don't go through the process, how do you improve on that? Remember what I said. It's about value addition. How do you add value to something that you've not gone through the process? Now, if I go to class today, I know I make a lot of mistakes in class. So I sit down and look at, sometimes I record my presentation, go listen to myself, and now see areas of lapses, and I improved on that. I remember sometimes we go with our professors, the class, and we discuss, and they tell us that, you see, there are lapses here and there and there. It's a process. And that builds your confidence in that. Somebody says he had failed 99 times. Of course, it's an opportunity for him to have known the 99 ways of not even failing. So it's very important. Then back to parents, very important. a lot of young people keep telling us that, you know, they're trying to rise up to their, you know, they want to catch, the parents keep putting them down. It's not proper. In fact, I have a young chap in my house. He was into drug abuse. He had issues with his parents, so they brought him into my house. So he's presently with me. So we sat down. He's a student in the University of Jos. So I sat down with the young man. We've discussed a lot. So I asked him, what actually do you want in life? Do you want to destroy your life or not? He said, no, he wants to, he doesn't want to destroy his life. And I said, okay, this issue of education is very important. So we've started putting him through in life, how to package his life. And then now with this strike, my thinking was that because the guy is very good on phones, I didn't know they had already conceived and he had developed a mindset of making shoes. So when this issue came and I said, okay, young man, so what are we going to do? What do you want? Can we go into, can I meet somebody, you know, a photographer? He said, no, sir, this is what I want. Let me tell you, the young man just spent some few weeks. What the guy is able to do now, I marveled. In fact, what we told him was to quickly snap that and send it to his parents, and they're celebrating. So we must appreciate the talent that God has given our children. One, for me, Prof knows my child, the first daughter, in fact, she's 8, Nankamun.
Very smart.
Very smart. So what we did was that we now sat her down and asked her what her passion is, particularly with regard to entrepreneurship. So she said she wants to go into fashion. You know, when Prof came and you're talking of dress, I said, no, my daughter, she's already in the net of my daughter. So already I've gotten a sewing machine for her. She's in primary 4.
Wow.
So before now, she went to her auntie's house and I saw her on the machine. That was when I took interest. So I said, wow, this is her passion. So we're guiding her gradually into that, not in superimposing our own decision on her, which is not proper. We know God has given us the ability as parents to guide our children, but we must respect their initiative, which is very important. Prof talk about, because the issue of past initiative comprises of issue of being proactive, allow them being resilient. Now, in case of this problem, this is the way you should be able to navigate around it. And it goes with a lot of pain. Sometimes as you press the machine, of course, the pin will do this. All these are, you know, pains that you go through, and it's very important for our young people out there to appreciate that. And our parents, please encourage this young ones, and I think we'll get results, particularly within the Christian dawn.
So, no, but at 8, I would have thought 8 was too young to get somebody started, but you have challenged me now. So we can't say our children are too young. They can start at any time.
You can start at any time.
At any time. Then the other issue is sometimes people may come up or may notice things that problems in the society which they know how to solve, but sometimes maybe because of what, as you said, parents may say, people may say this job is too belittling.
I like that.
For somebody, too menial of somebody of your caliber. Your mother is Professor Teresa Madu, a lecturer, a this.
University.
How can you be picking scraps, for example?
I like
so how
that.
do young people deal with this?
I like that. It boils down to the relationship in the family. If you have a good working relationship with your parents, I think, and if you're an obedient child to your parents, and they mean well for you, I think we should get to a point of equilibrium with our children. This is what they want. And most so what they are going into is not detrimental to them, and it's not going to affect the family. Now, and we can cite practical examples of people that have gone into it, because what you are going into is not different from what other people have done. And you can cite example that mommy and daddy, as you are going towards Maraban Jama, before police college, you see somebody, a scrap that have been piled on there. They are being prepared for.
I'm telling you,
they are taking them to China. Hips. The man, I know,
hips.
he's taking them to China, and these billions of naira there. So you can cite example, and we can cite practical example of people that have gone into these ventures and have made money. And I think, again, it's very important. We have Sunday school teachers. You know, sometimes the parents may not want to listen to you. You have Sunday school teachers, you have your disciples, you can talk to them. And they can talk to your parents. You know, it's a network, it's a relationship. And I think it still boils down to your relationship with your parents. If you're a stubborn child, if you want to do anything good, your parents will not agree. They may feel that maybe you want to go into something this. And I believe that as parents, we need to also bury our pride.
Okay.
But actually,
we need to bury our
is there
pride.
any profession or any enterprise that you carry out that doesn't have that part of it that looks like it's demeaning? Practically none, except we choose to view it as such. You know, I've been into poultry business for close on 30 years. There's the dirty side of it, there's the hard work part of it, but there's the naira part of it.
Which is enjoyable.
Yeah, but the processes also involve the hard work and the dirty part and the learning and all of that. So when we say one job may be menial or demeaning, I'm just saying that for everything that is worthwhile, if we look through the process, there will be that part that doesn't look
very nice,
very fashionable, doesn't look very touche.
But there's dignity in labor.
But there's dignity in labor.
It's quite true. So you see, it still boils down to the process. Maybe you're just looking at the entry point. This guy is going into and he's dirty, but you don't look at the other ends of it. So it's very important to look through the process from point A to the last point. So as parents, I think we need to change our mindset. We need to change our mindset.
But we can also make any process glamorous, actually.
Of course, you can do that.
When cooking first started, did it look as glamorous as it is?
No.
Now the chefs come out with their whites, with their big cap and everything, and it looks glamorous. It wasn't that glamorous back in
even
those
selling
days.
of kuli kuli, I think now. In fact, I was in Lagos.
Packaging
I saw that so powerful. So it's just like you said, and that's where the value addition is. So it boils down to you. I think such kind of knowledge, you don't even get it anywhere. You sit down, just like we said, and just conceptualize. What will I add to this to make it unique? And people appreciate that. Even your parents that think that it is a kind of a demeaning kind of business will appreciate it. So it still boils down to you to make a difference, which is very important, the differentiation in strategic management. So it's up to you. And if you want to go into this business, think outside the box. Make your own look unique so that everybody appreciates that.
Wow. Engineer Chikan, are you listening? That's your concept.
Yeah.
Engineer Chikan will always preach everywhere and say, make sure that this your akara that you are making, nobody can make the akara like you. Eh? Yeah. You can add a little manshanu to be different from every other person.
But if you're adding the manshanu, you have to know, you have to also ascertain whether the customers will like the manshanu. So it still boils down to getting the data of your customers. It's very important. So whatever you are adding, the value you are adding to that product or service, ensure that it doesn't cause any injury on your customers, which is very important. They must appreciate that. And sometimes you ask questions, very important. Now that we're on social media, you can just throw this thing and ask them what they feel should be added to your product or whatever you are selling.
Can I add a comical story once? I once went into a neighborhood shop. I actually went to buy Milo. This young enterprising boy, he says, Mommy, I need you to think very well. Since you're buying Milo, are you sure your milk hasn't run out? Then I thought about it. I think the milk is running out. So I said, yeah, I'll grab the milk. He said, what about eggs? You know, I went out commending that boy because he was connecting all the things he thinks I need. And he was forcing me to think. I don't know how many other things I bought before I left the shop. So enterprising means that you see the connection between one thing and the other. Like Nankamu's sewing, you don't know how it will be connected. It may go beyond fashion, but it may just also mean that we are going to develop a school of interior for you when the time comes.
Okay. They say it's time to wrap up. Julie Sunday, I'm seeing your WhatsApp, your Facebook message. She's watching from Buhari, Abuja. So that means a lot of people are learning, and our desire is that we apply these things that we have learned. As he said, there are problems everywhere, and we should be problem solvers, adding value to whatever it is.
I think we should bring Roel next week.
No, he's coming next week because now we have to do practical things.
He has to do business planning and how to find finance.
Okay. Yeah, to run the business.
To run the business.
Yes. So viewers, you have to come again and watch us next week so that we can properly wrap up this thing, and we'll not be hearing, oh, there's no work, oh, my son is not doing anything. There's something to do. We're problem solvers, and there are problems everywhere that can be solved in a unique way without harming the people who we're trying to solve the problems.
And you must have a reward.
Yeah, and
good money.
There's a reward, and the more you do it, the better you are at it, the better the reward. Well, we've been told to wrap up, so we have to go. We spent today talking about entrepreneurial opportunities, and we'll still continue next week on how to make it come true. So, Professor Teresa Madu, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Dr. Ruel Dakun,
My pleasure.
Ruel, we won't forget. Thank you so much.
Thank you, it's my
for
pleasure.
being there. And viewers, thank you for watching. Thank you for posting your comments. Please continue to post the comments. If we see more questions that we need to answer next week, we'll work on them. So thank you so much. God bless you. Go out there and be a problem solver like your master Jesus in all that we do. Thank you so much. God bless us all.